welcome to Young, Gifted, and Black, the podcast for the ARC Theater. My name is Kimberly Douglas. I'm the Director of Theater Operations and Programming, and I'm so happy to have you with us today. Just to give you a little bit of background about the ARC Theater, we are a community theater space located in the Congress Heights neighborhood of Southeast. Part of our goals is to make sure that arts and culture is available to the community, as well as training up-and-coming Black creatives, Black production designers, and administrators about the arts and culture world. Today, I have with me a special guest. His name is Thomas Tate, and he is an ICANN alumni that is here today to talk a little bit about what it means to vote for him in this upcoming election. Thomas, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I didn't give enough of your accolades. You are a graduate of National Collegiate Prep, class of 2019, and now a student at Old Dominion, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your major because I was so surprised to learn that you are a poli-sci major at Old Dominion. And I wanted to learn more about what steered you in that direction to pursue, political science.
Just my background, coming up in Southeast, not really being taught about how to look at candidates or how to look at their policies, just doing research for myself and falling in love with politics and trying to help others learn about politics, because in a world where politics may be the last resort, we need it. So just trying to reach out to my friends and help them get interested in politics, because I know it may not be the most interesting thing to talk about or even learn about, just helping them learn and do research for themselves.
Okay. And I would say, how do you start a dialogue like that with your peers? Because I know I'll just say this, I'll put it out there. I'm a millennial, you're a Gen Zer. And sometimes these conversations can be pretty hard because we all have different experiences and different things that we are trying to understand when it comes to politics. How do you go about that dialogue or start that dialogue with your peers?
Just something happening in the world. When stuff happens, like with the whole George Floyd thing, me and my friends got together and had a conversation about it. So it's just, in the world where social media and just phones in general are so prevalent, you have to sort of, I don't want to say it, but stuff has to happen for us to talk about it. And the way we talk about it is we just get together in a room and talk. We try to put the phones to the side, and my friends are good at, when one person's talking, the other people listen. And so, for example, most times we would just get in a room every night. Either we were studying, playing a game, but we would just get in a room, talk. That's what we like to do. Everybody in my friend group like to talk, but when it comes down to the serious stuff, we know how to take it serious, and we know how to channel everything out so we can focus on what we're talking about.
Yeah, that gives me a lot of hope, and I feel inspired just to hear that you guys are creating that space, not only to hear one another, but also just to have these tough conversations about what is happening in the world around racism and how you all are showing up in this world today to do your part. And so as we talk about you doing your part, how do you see your future developing in the political world? I mean, because again, you've always shown a great amount of leadership, and it sounds like you're still exhibiting that. Tell me about what are some of your future goals?
I have a lot of goals. I have one that deals specifically with theater and ICANN, and just because I also want to be a producer if stuff doesn't work out with the political science thing. But if it does work out, I want to help teach. If I do go to office, okay, good, but I want to give back. I want to help people learn how to deal with politics and how to look at policy specifically, so they don't end up being misinformed or being misled, because a lot of stuff can happen that way, where a politician can get on TV and just say anything, and some people might believe it, some people might not, but we have to get to a point where we have to see through that and go do the research for ourselves and just not listen to them talk.
Yeah. And it's a lot of power in what you said, especially in terms of, either you're going to look into how you can become an artist in the production world, because I think you are also an audio engineer, producer. And then also for the political science world, you know, what that looks like for you to be building a career in a political space. And so I think, you know, because of those two things, people forget about the impact of art and activism, because engaging people sometimes takes the arts and music and theater and dance to get people to pay attention, you know, and to get you to have and navigate some of those tougher conversations. So I can appreciate both in terms of what you are looking to do with your life and your future. And I hope there is I'll say room for both, honestly, because I feel like, you know, some of the best, I'll say political minds probably have some amazing artistic streaks, you know, in them that have helped them to navigate being in that political world. So no, I definitely hope you get the opportunity to take on both. And we always will welcome you back to teach, because that's always a value to us, because we believe in giving back. I did want to ask you a question about just your role at Old Dominion. And I believe you transferred to Old Dominion from Livingstone College. Tell me a little bit about what that experience was like in terms of navigating your, I guess, political studies, you know, as you navigated from transitioning from one school to the other.
So at Livingstone, I ran for freshman class president. I evidently didn't win, but the experience to run and get a feel for how stuff works in a voting scenario was good. If COVID didn't happen and I transferred at a time where COVID wasn't prevalent, I probably would have ran for sophomore class president at Old Dominion, but I didn't have the opportunity to get out and talk to people as much as I would if COVID didn't happen. So hopefully this COVID thing dies down and I can get the opportunity to get out and talk to people about and get the opportunity to run, because my mom, when I ran for freshman class president, she was like, there might be a lot of people running and there might be people more known than you or people who are more outspoken than you. And I said, well, if I'm not running for the best seat or the most important seat, why am I running? Because I always think that to change something, you have to be in the most important seat. And if you're not in the most important seat, why are you even running? I don't say that to discourage people from running for other seats, but for me, I just want to be in a place where more people can listen and more people can understand what I'm coming from or understand what I'm saying. So just being the president of something is important, and having people that take the time to listen and take the time to talk is important.
No, and thank you for that, because leadership, you know, goes back to what our country needs, as well as even community. Like, leadership helps us to feel inspired and hopeful, and you can't shy away of stepping into that seat, especially if you have a strong message. And I think today, for any young person or even adult that has the courage to step into leadership, you do have to take yourself out of the space of distractions, or, you know, feeling like you, which is a problem all of us have at times, feeling like imposters, that we're not good enough. But the reality is sometimes your purpose is higher than, you know, things that are potentially holding you back. So that's really inspiring to hear you say why you did decide to run for student class president, and how you didn't get distracted in the process. And even though, you know, parents are well intentioned, and I think that's your mom, she was being very supportive, you know, still of you. She wanted to educate you about what some of the barriers you may come up against. But I think, you know, you were steadfast. So that's really inspiring to hear. One more question before we close out. And I'm, again, so glad to connect with you. You know, the time is now to vote and to get your voice out. And so I think in terms of that, what are some things, I'll say in the arts world, that help you feel inspired or invigorated to keep your voice present today?
Just seeing people on stage, really, because most actors that I work with at the art, they aren't the most outspoken people all the time. They aren't the most extroverted people all the time. They're more the introverts, the shy people. But once they get in that mode where they think, I gotta go act, they turn into somebody that you would never know is shy or never know doesn't like being in the spotlight. So I think that for right now, that's something we can look at as because we usually don't get out and vote all the time or we don't go to vote. So we got to turn that time into now to vote and show people that our vote really matters.
No, thank you for that, because people forget the arts can help lead a movement because it's helping to get a message out. It's helping to get people, amplify people's voices. And those artists who, you're right, they're at times they're very introspective. They're not necessarily the loudest person in the bunch, but they're the person that made sure that they are willing to open themselves up to share their art and to make sure that you as the audience are the receiver of that message. So I wholeheartedly agree with you in terms of what an artist brings to the table in terms of moving or helping to gain momentum in a movement. So thank you for that. I just want to thank you so much, Thomas, for spending your time with us today. And I think it's a great segue because now we're going to hear the voices of some actors from a production called The 14th from the Constitution Center that talks about the Black codes and how African Americans really built a movement that helped to, erase barriers for some unfair legislature that was put in place to create slavery in a different form. So I thank you for joining us and invite everybody to stay tuned to hear the stage reading of The 14th.
Georgia. Every Negro is required to be in the regular service of some white person or former owner, who shall be held responsible for the conduct of said Negro.
Mississippi. If any freed man, free Negro or mulatto, convicted of any of the misdemeanors provided against in this act, shall fail or refuse to pay the fine imposed, such person will be hired out to any white person who will pay said fine.
Florida. When a person of color working on a farm or plantation deliberately disobeys orders, is impotent or disrespectful to his employer, refuses to do the work assigned, or leaves the premises, he can be arrested.
North Carolina. No person of color can testify against a white person in court unless the white person agrees to it.
Texas. Only white men can serve on juries, hold office, and vote in any state, county, or municipal election.
Virginia.
Alabama.
Arkansas. Louisiana.
South Carolina. Address of the Colored State Convention to the people of the state of South Carolina, Saturday, November 24th, 1865. Fellow citizens, we have assembled as delegates representing the colored people of the state of South Carolina in the capacity of state convention to confer together, to deliberate upon our intellectual, moral, industrial, civil, and political condition as affected by the great changes which have taken place in this state and throughout this whole country. We are Americans by birth, and we assure you that we are Americans in feeling. And in spite of all wrongs which we have long and silently endured in this country, we would still exclaim with a full heart, "Oh, America, with all thy faults we love thee still." We ask for no special privileges or peculiar favors. We ask only for even-handed justice.
We are by the present laws not only denied the right of citizenship, the inestimable right of voting for those who rule over us in the land of our birth, but by the so-called Black Code, we are deprived the rights of the meanest profligate in this country. We simply desire that the same laws which govern white men shall direct Black men. We do sincerely hope that you will grant your petitioner's desires.
So I want to say thank you to our special guest, Thomas Tate, an ICANN alumni. Again, I'm so happy about how that young man is getting his voice out in this world. And thank you so much for listening to 14, which is a theatrical performance featured on the Constitution Center's website. As you see, it's a great way to share arts and amplify the voices and messages that can help us get involved and have important conversations. So we hope you'll visit theconstitutioncenter.org to see more videos and also questions and prompts to get a dialogue going, whether that's in your community, with your parents and friends, with your school, or with just anyone who you think is open to listen, where you all can exchange information. It's time for all of us to amplify our voices.
Hello, I'm Core Masters Berry. Welcome to the 14th Annual Southeast Tennessee Learning Center's Blacks and Wax. It's a little different this year because we're doing virtual, and it's going to be powerful, so we want you to join us, enjoy it, learn, rejoice, cry, but also be informed and be empowered, because this is Vote Your Choice, Your Life.
That subtitle, Vote Your Choice, Your Life, made it imperative to produce the 14th Annual Blacks in Wax, a collaboration with DC Department of Parks and Recreation and the Recreation Wishlist Committee. Blacks in Wax started as an alternative method for educating youth about African American history. But it has become an inspiring, must-see event that spotlights history in the making. So in the midst of a pandemic, civil unrest, and an election approaching, the show must go on. Production began, rehearsals reconvened, virtually of course, and the green screen was set. In true SETLC fashion, the scholars of Southeast Tennessee Learning Center brought their A game and delivered a prolific rendition of Blacks in Wax, an event you don't want to miss.
ICANN Technical Theater Internship is such a special program. And with that, we've been so proud to join forces with the Southeast Tennessee Learning Center scholars to help them produce their Blacks in Wax production for the last 3 years. Because of COVID-19, unfortunately, the amazing scholars at Southeast Tennessee Learning Center did not get to grace the Arc Theater stage this year. However, we have our first virtual production of the Blacks in Wax scholars performing in Vote. Visit the link below to make sure that you get a chance to see what these amazing scholars in the Southeast community are doing to amplify their voices and use art as activism to make sure that everybody understands that your voice can be heard and that now is the time to act. Thank you so much for the continued collaboration. And thank you to Cora Masters Berry and the amazing team at the Recreation Wishlist Committee that continue to see the value in partnering with the ICANN Technical Theater Program, who are emerging young designers and technicians who are looking to expand their knowledge in the stagecraft and media realm. So with that, we're going to sign off today. We invite you to visit bbardc.org to check out the ARC Theater's website and to learn more about programs and productions we have coming up for this upcoming season. I'm so happy to join you in celebrating our first episode, yay, of Young, Gifted, and Black, the podcast, and we hope you'll tune in again. And yeah, keep following us throughout the year. And we are on social media at IG, The ARC Theater, and ICANN at The ARC. See you soon.